everyone, I'm Eslan and welcome to the channel, and that's Fergus. I'm a self-taught toy designer. I've been working on a wardrobe adult for the last couple of years. I tend to do this behind closed doors because I am a horrendous perfectionist and chronic undersharer. If it's not perfect, nobody sees it, ever. Which can lead to sitting on a project for months, just like last video, an 8-month ordeal. Doing stuff like that a lot of the time leads to creating no longer being enjoyable. So in the spirit of trying to improve, I thought I'd work on one of my new models, customizing it, seeing how I like it, but showing you the process. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel yet. If you're not, please subscribe. I would appreciate it so much. Like the video if you like it and leave a comment down below. I would love to read all your comments. With that all being said, let's get into the video. So the doll I'm going to be working on today is my Winnie doll. I feel like she's taken a little longer because it was a lot of trial and error of actually learning 3D modeling while designing her. You may recognize her from a couple of videos back where I customized her. I did end up working on her a little bit more. I was happy with the body at the end of last year, but I wanted to work a little bit more on the face, rendering it and making the lines a bit sharper and working on it in response to the face up from that video. And so to do that, I have to go back to the computer. With the original file loaded into Zbrush, I sharpened the features and made any adjustments that I felt were needed. This means rendering the nose to be a little bit more defined, working on the mouth for a natural resting smile, as well as rendering the eye sockets. I know this doesn't seem too much of a change, but I think when you're working with the intent of customizing this face, changes like this are always a welcome improvement. So, this is the old head, and this is the new one. I do like the old head, of course, and I'll probably still use it, but I really do like this new model. But as I said, the new model is just a little bit more defined and more catered to my customizing, I think. I also made an additional model of the head with some big old elf ears because I love elves, and if I can put elf ears on any of my models, I will. To get my designs out of the computer, I printed them off on my Heygears Ultra Reflex 3D resin printer, which I totally forgot to film, which is amazing. For this model, I wanted to test out some custom resin colors, and so I made a custom pink quartz, which came out really well, and I really like it. It doesn't really do it justice though when it's against a white background, which is a shame, but I promise it's very pretty. Before we can jump into customizing, I have to first prep my models and make sure everything's strung together. As part of the preparation, I have to remove the print supports that are inside the internal structure, as well as sand away any bumps that can be seen externally, also left from print supports. To string the model together, I'm going to be threading elastic through the internal structure, using S-hooks on areas that are too small or delicate for the elastic to pass through, like the ankles and the wrists. I spent ages trying to learn how to make the joints of the arms and legs perfect so that they could be posed and moved. If it was too tight, the knee or the elbow would just explode. It would snap because it's too tight and it doesn't want to move. But if it's too loose, it's just wobbly and won't stand straight. I didn't know how they did it. It was so much trial and error, only to find out, though, People just use hot glue and silicone on the joints to make it nice and snug and holding a pose. You have no idea how liberating yet frustrating it was to find that out. News to me, I had no idea. And so getting my hot glue gun, I'm just going to put a tiny dollop of glue, then use a stick to wipe it away so that there's just the finest layer of a resistance-like material, keeping the joint safe and allowing me to pose it without having to worry about the model getting scratched up or not wanting to stay in place. Yeah, so that's just what I'm doing. And this is the body all strung together. And so, time to start customizing. Before I start the face, I'm just going to go over it as well with some fine grit sandpaper. Once that's all done, I wash it and then I give it a spray with Mr. Super Clear Matte Varnish, or you can use any other matte varnish. And this will just create a paper-like texture on the face, which will allow you to draw on it, and if you make a mistake, you can just rub it off with an eraser and not stain the resin, which is good. Typically, when I'm doing face-ups, the materials I'll use watercolour pencils. When you are sketching onto resin, I find that watercolour pencils will always come out very grainy, and unless you activate that paint with water, it will stay grainy. And so I didn't want to waste my expensive watercolour pencils, so instead I grabbed a graphite pacer. Probably wouldn't recommend doing this. Graphite is one of those materials that just get everywhere. It's an art form of its own. But I wanted to create sharper lines and wanted to experiment a bit more without having to worry about money and also worrying about, like shape and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to have a play around without having to stress, I guess. So I'll be using graphite. Once I'm happy with how this layer was looking, I'm going to apply 2 layers of varnish on top because I really don't want that graphite to slip. The thing that always gets me when you paint on resin as opposed to vinyl is that for some reason soft pastels just don't want to stick. It's so frustrating. So when you're wanting to add like blush or wanting to add just some colour to the face, which I'm doing here, you add it and it just doesn't want to grab. It's really frustrating. Look at that colour. Nothing. In the spirit of using unconventional materials, I suppose, I decided to grab some gouache paint. This is from my Himi, I think the brand is called. Gouache is super thickened watercolour. It's fun because it's very pigmented, and so you can really just lay down those colours without having to use acrylic paint, which is really hard to kind of manoeuvre, whereas this colour can be manoeuvred with some water. But the thing is though, is that gouache is very, it loves texture. You really have to be so careful because, you can put a layer of paint down and it looks great, and then you do a varnish and then you'll just start seeing texture. But you'll see that texture for the rest of this face up. So you just have to be very, very careful. And as well, make sure that you seal it all in. Everything needs to be sealed with some matte varnish. It is an active paint, so any water that gets added to it without it being sealed will activate the paint and it will leave. Okay, so it looks like I've just done some stuff off camera. I forgot to press record, but basically just what I did is I got some pigments and just really shoved it on the face, trying to get it to stick. But yeah, they just look a bit harsh at the moment. I'm going to start working on the eyelashes though. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a brown, like a medium brown for the eyelashes, and and just start drawing them on, and once they're on, I'll get a very fine paintbrush and just activate the watercolour to make it nice and sharp and not grainy. I wasn't completely sure at this point how to approach the eyebrows, so I just made them a super light pink. People often tell me I place the eyebrows a bit too low on my dolls and I give my dolls a 5 head. First of all, rude. Second, I like how it looks, and that's just how I do it, okay? Shut up. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, offering thousands of classes taught by industry experts. Whether you're interested in film, illustration, design, freelancing, or productivity, Skillshare has a course for you. Lately, I've been eager to level up my productivity and learn new skills when it comes to the video production and creating videos, so that it makes it a bit easier to make. I've been taking Marques Brownlee's YouTube Success course, where he guides you through the entire process of creating one of his tech review videos. From scripting to shooting to editing, he provides tips on cameras, lighting, and software. Skillshare's Learn by Doing approach allows you to create and share projects, getting valuable feedback from the community. Their on-demand platform and stackable lessons give you the flexibility to learn at your own pace. For my Northern Hemisphere viewers, summer is a perfect time to learn a new skill. So if you're looking to expand your skills or learn a new hobby, make sure to check out Skillshare. The first 500 people to use my link in the description below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and back to creating. For the eyes, I made some basic polymer clay eyeballs from Fimo clay, I think. And I'm going to be painting them with some Vallejo acrylic paint. I'm going to be using a medium brown and a dark brown to create these really dark, almost dough-like eyes. I'm just going to be adding the dark brown around the rims and then adding a medium brown into the middle, just for a semi-gradient look. I'm really into the look of really, really dark eyes, almost black eyes, because I think it just accentuates the face so much. I don't know, I think it just looks nice and it accentuates people's beauty. I added just a tiny bit of resin, specifically this is UV Gel Nail Topcoat, and I placed a black gem in the center which will act as the iris? Pupil? I think pupil is the word. After adding a bit of gel top coat to fill it in, I used a UV light to cure it all. I freaking love how the dark brown eyes look against the pink skin. It just makes it so striking and oh, I like it. Adding the eyes to the head is always just the biggest challenge for me. It takes me freaking forever because I want them to match perfectly. I want to make sure that the eyes are going the same direction, but also you have to hold it in place and then hold the head and then also get the glue, and it's just like, don't burn yourself as well. I live the hardest life. A lot of people use putty to put the eyes in the heads of their models, but I live in Australia and have Australian summers, and the putty tends to make the eyes fall out, and it's terrifying. Super genius idea. Thought using a kebab skewer to position the eyeball would be, you know, such a hack. However, I was a bit too rough and I skewered the eyeball and the iris pushed out the other side. That is some body horror stuff. I couldn't help but laugh because it's such a surprise, so ridiculous, and I don't think this has ever happened to anybody else in the world. What happened? Ah! Look at that. No. What the hell? So normally I lean towards being anti-eyelashes for dolls because it can look bad really quickly, any experience I've had with dolls with eyelashes, it looks bad. But when I saw these Japanese wet look eyelashes, I had to give them a try for this doll. They're just so nice. They're kind of hard to find in Western shops. If you go to any of the makeup shops, they won't have them. And if you buy like individual lashes, they're kind of like splayed out, I guess. But anyway, I got these from W Cosmetics in Sydney. They're just singular lashes and they give an anime-like look, which works really well for this doll. Instead of using glue, I'm going to be using UV resin to attach them, since I unfortunately had a bad hand day. My hands were just so wiggly and I didn't trust myself with glue and wanted to be able to move them around before committing to it being stuck to the face. Once I was happy with the placement, I cured them. But what is not good, quick PSA, is doing this to yourself. Do not freaking do this to yourself. I've seen people online do this to attach their eyelash extensions. I feel like I have to tell people, do not do this to yourself. It is so freaking dangerous and it will damage your eyeballs, it will damage your sight, your skin. And if anyone is telling you that it is okay to do it, they are wrong. Yeah, I just feel like I have to say that quickly because I don't want people to get ideas. Right, let's not leave this lady naked. Let's make some clothes. I'm just gonna make some big baggy trousers and a t-shirt. Nothing too fancy. I am just using a canvas material as opposed to jeans, because jeans is just, it's denim, sorry, not jeans. It's opposed to denim because denim is just far too hard to scale down. So I'm just using a pink canvas material. I thought it looked a bit boring, so I cut the legs off and then I attached them again because I wanted that distressed look. Totally unnecessary, but I actually like how it looks. I wanted to try and make a graphic t-shirt. It's a little bit hard on such a small scale, but you know, I'll make it work. When I was looking at making the graphics, I looked through Pinterest and old archives from museums and such, looking for things like vintage matchbox art, some stamps, old adverts. What I ended up landing on was the work of Makoto Takahashi. She's an old anime style artist and she's made like a million of these drawings of these cartoon anime girls with these gigantic eyes. When I was happy with the graphic that I will be using, I'm just going to print it out on some transfer paper, and this will be so that I can transfer the graphic onto material, which will in turn be the t-shirt. I'm just going to be using a tiny little iron, but you could just use like a normal regular sized iron, and just adding it to the material and ironing it on, and there you go. It's a graphic t-shirt. I'm also going to be making a cute handbag from this green plaid fabric. I edited and printed out this vintage Easter lamb drawing. It's just from like those Easter cards from the 1950s, but I printed them on transfer paper and I will be adding those as well, and it looks very cute. For some accessorizing of the bag and the trousers, I'm going to recycle my old phone charm. Oh, it broke. So I'm gonna add it to my doll. It's good to recycle, I guess. As well, I'm gonna add some suspenders. They are not functional, but I just saw people adding them to their trousers. So yeah, I'm just gonna add those as well. I decided to make a really basic wig with some synthetic braiding hair in the same quartz color that is the model. It kind of blends in, but I think that works almost because it doesn't make anything stand out too much, if that makes sense. With the synthetic braiding hair, it does come crinkled, I think that's the word. So I did just add a little bit of heat with the straightener just to straighten it out. The wig cap is just made from craft tape, nothing fancy. I didn't want to go for anything too extravagant because, you know, this is just kind of working with the model. I didn't really need to make anything more elaborate. I also made some cute little bows to the side because I really like Sandy Liang's style, and I felt like this would be a nice like accessory for the wig. And when I'm happy with how it looks, I can transfer it to the head, but the head has to be attached first. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab those elastics that are on the body, and I'm just going to thread them through the whole of the head. And once I pull those through, I need to secure them so that they sit in the head because they will just fall out. You can just zip tie it, I guess, as well, just to make sure that it doesn't fall through the hole. Tucking them in neatly, I can add the cap, which is the back of the head attachment, and that will hide all those elastics. And this is what we have. This is the new Winnie design. Only when I attached the head and did the body that I realized that the head is actually printed too small, or maybe the body's too big, I don't know. But the head is far too small, so just ignore that. But I like the design. I think it's really cute and it's fun to work on. I'd love to know what you think of it though. I am keen to try out more styles on this head and this body. Yeah, I just like it. It's pretty.